All right. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us in today's session of breaking your dependence on salary. The topic we'll be talking about today is something that is very important and crucial, and it is based on certain discoveries that has helped me or that have helped me personally. So this is not going to be done all at a stretch. So we are going to break it into a number of sessions, and I'm too sure that by the time we are done, you will be able to see areas that you need to work on so that your life can be better than what it is now. So we are going to be talking about breaking your dependence on salary, breaking your dependence on salary. And without wasting time, we're going to start right away, breaking your dependence on salary. My name is Matthew Adebi, and I'm sure we'll be getting to know each other better than this. So, but because of our time, let's go right into the topic for today. Now, the when you look at this topic, it's very easy for you to immediately assume that, oh, maybe this guy is against salary, right? No, that's on the contrary. As we progress in this lecture, you are actually going to find out the place of salary, the usefulness of salary, and how you are supposed to relate with it. The problem is that many people relate wrongly with salary. And that's one of the things we want to see how you can maximize and take advantage of your salary job so that it doesn't become a curse instead of being a blessing. So this course is also about how you can increase your income sources. For the most part, most people have just one income source, and which is their salary. But the truth of the matter is, even if yours is not salary, but maybe you do some other things, but your reality is that you have just one source of income. This course and the things we are going to be teaching and learning will also apply to you, right? So I want us to pay attention, and by God's grace, I'm sure that we will be better off at the end of this class. So the first thing we are going to be looking at is dangers of a single income source. Dangers of a single income source. This is very important and very critical. Dangers of a single income source. The truth of the matter is, if you look in your life presently, you are going to find out that there are many needs, there are many wants, as it were. And the reality of life is that when you have multiple needs in your life and you have just one source of income, somehow you are not going to be balanced out financially. Sometimes, you see people trying to make ends meet, trying to meet up with different things, obligations that they need to settle. But many people can't understand why what they are earning is not just enough to cater for the needs that their life is generating, right? So this is a very, very important topic. There are dangers that are associated with having just one source of income. All right, and we are going to look at some of them very briefly. Now, the first danger of having just one source of income is that the needs in our lives, just like I said earlier, the needs in our lives are numerous and they are increasing, right? The needs in our lives are numerous and they are increasing. And of course, everybody will automatically or readily agree with me on this, right? As time goes on, as we are moving on in life, you find out that needs are accumulating. And most of the time, once these needs come, they don't go away. And then other needs keep coming to join the previous ones, and they keep piling up. And before you know what's happening, let's say in the last 2 years, your budget was 50,000 naira monthly. It is not likely that today your monthly budget is still at that amount. Most of the time, it will have increased, right? So if your income is just one source, your income source is just one, then you find out that as your needs and wants, the things you need to pay for in your life, the things you need to cater for financially, as they are increasing and your source of income is not increasing, you will find out that financially things begin to get tougher, right? So it is very, very important for us to think very clearly about our financial past, our financial present, and our financial future. Most people are not thinking about how to improve their state of finances. So most people just keep hoping that, okay, things will be better, things will get better, one day it will be better, and things like that. But they never really do anything practically to make sure that things actually get better financially. So one of the dangers of having just one source of income is that as your needs and wants begin to increase and they begin to pile up and accumulate over time, if your income source is not also increasing, then it becomes a problem. And then that is the way to financial crisis. That is the way to poverty, right? So the immediate solution to this is that multiple expenses must of a necessity be met with multiple income sources. As your needs are growing, your income also must be growing, both in amount and in number of sources. Please, I want you to write this down because it's very important. As your needs and your wants grow with time, your income also must grow. And I said it must grow in amount and in number of sources. So if you are earning, let me take last year, for instance. If you were earning, let me say 50,000 naira per month at June last year, if you were earning 50,000 naira last year, June, and this is March 2022, and you are still earning 50,000 naira, most likely you are in a tighter situation financially now than last year. All right? And that's very, very important. So I'm giving you a way of thinking and a way to begin to look at how things should not continue financially, right? Now, for most salary earners, when we talk about your income should also grow as your needs and your expenses grow. the reality for most salary earners is that your income is not going to grow like that, because I don't know how many of us that are listening to me right now have had your salary increased in the last 1 year. Okay, you know, the baseline I gave us was last year June, and now you were earning 50,000 last year, and you are still earning 50,000 now. Last year June to this time is probably around 8 months, right? So if you are a salary earner, you should ask yourself, when was the last time your salary was increased? Your salary was not increased in the last 1 year, but your needs and your wants have definitely increased. Whether you agree with me or not, I don't need to be a prophet to be able to know that your needs and your wants have grown, must have grown in the last 1 year. So if you are a salary earner and your income, the rate at which you get an increment in your salary, you know at what rate the increment comes. Maybe for some people annually, some people in 3 years, their salary remains on the same spot. So if you are that kind of a person, you must think outside the box. You must think outside of your salary to be able to ensure that you have your income increasing. So for you to depend on your salary alone while your expenses and your needs keep growing is not going to be a wise thing to do. And that's one of the reasons why we are having this lecture. This class is going to be a monthly class, and it is going to be a purposeful, intentional class that we are going to have practicals that we will do, right? We're going to give you practicals and assignment to do, and it is our goal that at the end of the day, at least in about 3 months from now, you should have been able to add another source to your income flow. You should have been able to create something else that is bringing money from another source. If you are a salary earner, and of course, you're a salary earner, you don't determine when your salary will be increased. The best you can do is to work hard and hope that maybe one day your employer will be kind to say, okay, let me increase your money. But even if they increase your money, at what rate will the increment come? Will the increment be commensurate with the same? Will the increment be commensurate with the level of growth that you've had in your life, the level of growth that you've had in your expenses? With that increment that you get, let's assume once a year, that increment that they give you once a year, is it matching up with the rate at which your needs are growing? So these are some of the things that are very, so this is one of the dangers of having just one source of income, because over time it leads to poverty, right? The next danger that I want us to see is that if you have just one income source and something happens that takes away that income source, or something happens that take away or threatens that income source, then you are automatically in a crisis, right? Yes, nobody is praying for something bad to happen, but you see, I have to be honest with you. You have to be honest with yourself as well to know that if you are working for someone, or if you are working for government, or if you are working in a place where the resources and the things that are being done there is being determined by somebody else, you really can't bank on that kind of an income source 100%. So it is very, very good. It's a good idea for you to have a backup plan, because the sad reality in our world today is that people lose their job, right? There are so many reasons why people lose jobs. You know, it's not only because they sack you or something. You see, gone are the days when people get sacked for doing something wrong. Nowadays, people get sacked for any flimsy excuse by the employers. You understand? Somebody may just feel that they are paying too much salary and they decide to downsize, right? The company you are working for may even go bankrupt. Things are not going fine, especially with the situation of the economy now. So if the company that you work for folds up, yes, God forbid, I know that's what you are saying, but the truth of the matter is that ask yourself, if it happens now, what's going to happen? So if anything happens now that you lose your job and that is the only source you have, then it becomes a major crisis. You don't want something like that to happen. So it is a wise thing to make sure that you have additional sources of income. You know, these days are not the times when somebody should be preaching to you before you know that you should get other sources, right? The handwriting on the wall in terms of what is happening in the country, the economy, the devaluation of Naira, so many things, you know, tells you that you can't possibly depend on only one source. So I'll tell you a story very briefly. I used to know someone that has a very good job. I mean, a very good job. He's an accountant and he works for an Indian company. They were paying very well. His children are going to a fantastic school, you know, and the wife was not working because the salary was kind of big enough, in quotes, to take care of everybody. But you know, something happens. At some point, the company ran into some issues and then the company folded up and all the staff had to go. And you know that this man, for 3 years in a row, was looking for a job. He couldn't get any. Number one, because he is advanced in age, and then number two, because he was a polytechnic graduate. So these are some of the challenges he had trying to get another job. So for 3 years, he was without a job. And to make the matters worse, the wife was not working. The wife had no job. And he had to withdraw his children from the school they were going, withdraw them back to public school, started depending on friends and families and things like that. So the question is, what difference would it have made if he at least had another thing by the side that was bringing in income? It will not have, the situation would not have been that bad, right? So while your job today is good and your salary is big, praise God, thank God for you. But you must know that anything can happen. For example, let me give you an example. Look at what's happening in Russia and Ukraine today. There are many people who are currently out of the job now because of that crisis. Something that happened within a very short space of time they were not planning for. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that, yes, we are not praying for anything bad to happen. Nothing bad is going to happen to us. But you see, the truth of the matter is, if you don't have any backup financially in terms of source of income, if anything happens to your current source of income and that is the only source that you have, then you are not doing well. Let me put it that way. You are not doing well for yourself and for your children and for your family. So it is a very, very crucial matter. So because of my time, let me give you another reason why having one source of income is dangerous. Rising costs and inflation. Rising costs and inflation. Just like the example I gave you the other time. We all know that most things that we bought in the market 6 months ago currently have increased in cost. In fact, some products in the market now have doubled in price in the last 6 months. Right? And here you are. In the last 6 months, your salary was 50,000, and now your salary is still 50,000. And things are getting costly every day. The simple implication of that is that today, with your 50,000 naira, you'll be able to buy less things in the market with the same amount. So what does that mean? It means if every month for your family upkeep, you buy 10 items for your family upkeeps last month, it means that this month you will be able to buy less than 10 things. So what does that mean? It means your standard of living is reducing. So you will not be able to buy some things. You will have to sacrifice certain things. Let's say before you used to buy bread and butter and tea, just as an example. You buy bread, you buy butter, you buy tea, you buy geisha, you buy sardine, you buy eggs. These are some of the things you can use to eat bread, Abi. And so things are fine. Now, the price of all these things have increased. And your salary is still at the same amount that it has been. What it means is that now you will have to sacrifice some of those things. You will have to probably choose between buying bread and tea alone and sacrifice every other thing. What does that mean? Your quality of life is decreasing with time. So it means your options and your choices are being limited, right? So rising costs and inflation, and of course, if you kept money in the bank, let's say you kept 100,000 naira in the bank last year, if you withdraw that money from the bank this year, that money is no longer equal to the same 100,000 naira that you kept in the bank last year. Why? Because it has reduced in value because of inflation. So if your source of income is singular, then you are going to find out that all these factors will begin to make life more difficult as time goes on. And you don't want to find yourself in that kind of a situation. So the next sad reality is pay cuts and salary reduction. The truth of the matter is some people have actually found themselves in this kind of situation, that they have their salary reduced and things like that. There was a time in Osun State that for a period of time, our staff were being paid half of their salary, right? And I was somewhere where somebody was complaining about the fact that this half salary is not really a good idea and things like that. And you know what somebody else said? Somebody else replied and said, you do not even thank God for getting half salary. What if you did not get anything? Now, to that person, he is grateful that he's getting half, right? And what did he say? He said that half bread is better than none. That was the philosophy that person is thinking from. But the truth of the matter is, a whole bread is better than half, right? 2 breads are better than 1, if you agree with me, and so on and so forth. So don't imbibe a wrong philosophy of half bread is better than none, so that you are now managing things you are not supposed to manage. Rather think like this: 2 bread are better than 1, 3 breads are better than 2, 10 breads are better. In fact, having a bakery is better than going to buy bread, right? So that is the way we must think. Now, the next and the final point on this particular slide is that one of the reasons why it is not good for you to have just one source of income, especially if you are a salary earner, is that your responsibility as a person grows as you mature in age, as time progresses, right? When you were single, you cannot compare how much money you spend in a month when you were a single person to what you are spending now that you are a married man with 2 kids. right? You cannot compare how much money you will be spending in a month now that your children are in nursery school, and then compare it to the time when your two children will be in the university. Your expenses will increase as you are growing, as your children is growing, as responsibilities will keep coming to hard up for you. When you were single, so many things were out of the picture. Now that you are married, you have to think about your wife, you have to think about your in-laws, you have to think about your family, sister, your wife's younger sister. You have to think about so many things and things like that. So for that singular reason, your income cannot afford, you cannot afford for your income to be at the same level that it has been. All right. So we are going to move on from there. Now, I want you to ask yourself. I want you to ask yourself. Look at your income presently, and then look at your needs. Just like I have said, which one is which? Okay. Sorry about that. My internet had. Okay. So let's just continue. Okay. So look at all the things that we've said so far before we move on from here, and see whether another source of income is important or not. Then, if you consider having another source of income to be something important, then what are the next steps that you should take? All right. What can you do practically? So we'll be coming back to that. So let's move ahead. Now let me talk to you about the trap called salary. All right. And this is one of the major things I want to address today. You see, depending on your understanding and the relationship you have built with your salary income, your salary can actually be a trap, or it can be a blessing if you know the right things to do. But if not, for most people, salary has become the trap of the greatness that they carry inside them. And I'm going to be telling you why and how. There are some hidden dangers